Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be playing a game called Depression Quest. It's a text-based adventure game that is supposed to replicate what it's like to have depression. Now, I personally think this is a ridiculous idea and shouldn't exist. It's supposed to give people an understanding of depression, particularly if they don't have it, and allow them to understand what people who do have it are going through. Anyone who has known me will tell you that I have and continue to suffer from depression, and I will still say that this seems ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it does. Every review I've seen of this game on Steam has agreed with me. But the reason I am slightly biased is because you can't convey it properly. Depression is a state of mind. It is a mental illness. Writing down a scenario in which you are potentially depressed does not convey the mindset people who are depressed are in. So we're going to play this game, and I want to see what it is like. I want to see whether this game successfully conveys what it is like to have depression. Now, I'm going in bias. I think it shouldn't exist. I think it won't. But just in case, I'm going to warn you now. This game may contain triggers. In this paragraph, it states here, if you're currently suffering from the illness and are easily triggered, please be aware this game uses stark depictions of people in very dark places. So I'm warning you now. If you feel like this may trigger you, then please stop watching. I don't want to be held responsible for someone slipping into depression again, or for the first time. However, like I said, I have and continue to suffer depression, and I'm going to air quote brave this in an attempt to see whether it is accurate. So let us begin. I've had a quick skim read of this. It's basically saying what I just said. The game is about... It's a text-based game that allows people to experience what it's like. I've already had the scan of the controls. I've played about 5 minutes worth of it, so I know the first few pages. We're going to begin. Now, in this game, I'm going to go with my personal reactions to this. This is what I would do in this situation. I have been in similar situations. Judging from the first few pages, I've been in similar situations. And I have come out with very dark thoughts. However, we will see. It's early on Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. Oh, because I thought I was a dog. You're a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex, who you're rather fond of, that you've been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring, but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You're also dealing with motivation issues, and sometimes make dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people deal with these feelings and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. So far, a decent description of early signs of depression. This music, though, this is another thing that I have an issue with this game. It plays a lot on audio. Apparently audio is a key factor. However, if I disabled the audio, and this is some film studies knowledge now, if I disabled the audio, you would only receive half of the experience. So if I disabled the audio on this game, you are already detrimenting the understanding of depression. And even now, even this weird ambience music that is playing behind me, I still don't... I can't comprehend how this is a good representation of it. When I'm in depressed state, I do not have pianos playing behind me. It's a non-diegetic soundtrack to emphasize emotions, which I can understand. I understand that. That is used in many media, games, and films, and TV shows. They do that. But it does not make their audience depressed. Anyway, moving on. It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You've spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half the time. And yet time seems to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead, you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple of hours at least. You briefly consider using this serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. And soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain, unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted, and you feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you? And here are the multiple choices. Oh, below each page as well, you get a sort of current status of your character. So, I am depressed, interaction is exhausting, I'm not seeing a therapist, and I'm not currently taking any medication. Another thing as well, while I'm on the subject, is people will read this, and generally when people read text-based, or play text-based adventures, or read books, they like to read aloud when trying to understand a part. Now, as you've already been listening to me doing it, when you're reading aloud, it is generally positive. It has a certain upbeat feel to it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add to the concept. Anyway, do you? Reluctant... Oh yeah, also, apparently some of the multiple choices don't exist. They're not multiple choices, they're just striked out. Right. Do you... Which I understand. The point of the blacked out ones is because in your emotional state, you're incapable of doing that thing. However, when we get to the later pages, you will understand why this is not good. Do you reluctantly sit down at your desk and try and make yourself do something? Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half an hour to unwind from work. Crawl into bed, you're so stressed and overwhelmed you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways. Now, from my experience, and that scenario, I would personally just turn on the TV. Not that I watch TV. Oh, this is a very long page. Just a half-hour TV, you tell yourself, absolutely grasping for the remote. You don't so much sit down on the couch as sink into it. You turn on the TV and start going through your usual channel routine. After a few cycles of this, you realise that you're really not doing much more than thumb calisthenics, then I can't read that word, and absolutely killing time. You check the clock. The vocabulary in this game is a lot higher than it should be. People don't think in very well-written sentences. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to skip that paragraph. A lot of this is just preposition. It's unnecessary preposition. As your self-imposed time limit creeps ever nearer, you become more and more anxious. You stand up and walk to the fridge, telling yourself, I'll just make a quick sandwich and get to work after that. Can't be productive on an empty stomach, right? As you eat, you start pacing around your apartment, heading past your bedroom in the process. You stop in the doorway as if physically unable to cross the threshold. Familiar waves of exhaustion start racking you and you feel simultaneously tired and panic. You close your door and head back to the couch. It's still early yet, you tell yourself. As long as I get to work in an hour, I'll have plenty of time to be productive. As you flip channels and let the CSI and Jeopardy reruns wash over you, you sink deeper into the couch, feeling at once encroached upon and shielded by being quite literally swallowed up by it. Okay? That was a weird sentence. As the second hour draws nearer, sure enough, you find yourself getting anxious and jittery. You'll repeat the fridge-paced couch process a couple more times before you look at the clock and realise that several hours have passed, and not surprisingly, you've managed to get no work done. You crawl into bed, acutely aware of the fact that you have work in the morning, and that any opportunity you had to catch up on your own creative endeavours today was squandered. You're feeling so disgusted with yourself that when Alex calls to talk to you on her way in from class, you simply said you had a really rough day at work and you're trying to rest up before your shift tomorrow. She says she understands and wishes you a good night, though you can't help but notice she sounds slightly disappointed. Ironically, the stress of potentially upsetting your partner compounds with the stress of not having gotten anything done with this evening and the stress of having to go into work tomorrow. That's not an ironic statement, but apparently is ironic. The buzzing of an anxiety in your brain melts together with your body's utter physical exhaustion, and you sink into a semi-hypnagogic anxious funk. Too tired to try and work out, but too anxious to fall asleep for several hours. Why? Why are there these unnecessarily long and medical words in a simulation game, essentially? It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex called you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you'll get along well enough but aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning, and nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you've been fatigued most of the time lately. You mention that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain those feelings to someone else, and you say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over your phone, but you can swear you can hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week, and she sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do? If you haven't seen her in a week, then you should be willing to go. Even me, even I, in a very depressed state, have that one person, sometimes a few, I have that one person that you're always looking forward to spending time to because they distract you from your own funk. Now, in this situation, it is implied that Alex should be this person. So, by that logic, you agree to go. Even if it's in a social situation, you're still with it. What is this music now? What is this music? Who listens to this at a party? So that's the stock party music that goes with it. Anyway, that's not a good reaction to a depression game, is it? Laughing. That's no. It's you know you're not doing well. You agree to go, even though you're really not feeling social. You know it's important to Alex, and you'd really like to see her. Thank you. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around, and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steel your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. "I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it." A young man taps her on the shoulder, and she turns back to apologise and let you know that you have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. Music just stopped for a minute. That was jarring. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognise. Right, now, in my state of mind, again, I have had a similar experience to this, so we will see. Awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure of what else to do. Put your bag in your Alex's Put your bag in your Alex's room. She's mine now, she's mine and no one else's. I own her! And avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less uncomfortable. Now, I would do this. This would be me, personally. As Alex leaves, you are not quite sure of what to do with yourself. Standing in the middle of the room leaves you feeling kind of exposed, and you don't feel ballsy enough to randomly approach any of the groups of people clustered together talking. You head to a clear spot on the back wall and lean against it. for some reason, this always feels a lot more secure. You scan the party for a familiar face or any sign of your partner and come up with nothing. Not sure what else to do, and worrying that you must look creepy just standing there watching everyone, you take out your phone to busy yourself. 20 semi-tedious games of Bejeweled Blitz later, your partner returns. Bejeweled Blitz is not a game I would play if I was depressed, that would just make me more stressed. You spend the rest of the night with Alex, occasionally being introduced to people and nodding along with group conversations even if you don't participate that much. At the end of the night, as you're falling asleep with your girlfriend in the crook of your arm, she thanks you again for coming. Half drunk, she confides that she thought you were going to flake out and was pleasantly surprised that you managed to come out. She says it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you feel about that statement. Now I would feel very reassured by that, because I had cheered up, I had made the person that I am in a relationship with smile. That would be rewarding in this kind of scenario, I would feel. Despite my previous conceptions and mental state, I would still be at least mildly happy that I made someone else happy. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Why does every day have an adjective? Can it not just be on Saturday? Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. "So what's going on with you lately?" she asks abruptly. That should be in quotation marks. Learn to write. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her that you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden, well-meaning but overwhelming questions. Or inquisition, I guess. See, questions would have worked perfectly there, but no, it had to be inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work, or with your significant other, or friends, or anything like that. But all the same, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained and as though you're really not here. Understandable. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you were feeling. What do you do? Let her know you've been feeling down lately and you appreciate concern. I would do that! That is what I would do in this situation, but sadly, this game is scripted, so I cannot select that. So, my next default option would be try to be honest with her anyway, which seems slightly more, strict, I guess, in terms of approach, than the first one. You attempt to tell your mother how you're feeling, despite initial misgivings that you have about doing so. Finding the right words for how you're feeling feels like trying to untangle Christmas lights, searching for the dead bulb in the cluttered mess. She watches you intently and audibly sighs before you can clearly articulate anything. Again, with the unnecessarily large words. Unfortunately, she reacts predictably. An attitude like that won't get you anywhere. You need to work harder at getting what you want instead of sitting around feeling sad about it. Nothing good will happen unless you make it happen. She isn't angry or spiteful, she tells you this. You try to explain that it's not a matter of that, but you can tell that you're not getting anywhere. The frustration chokes the words in your throat, and you give up on trying to push the subject further. You know she's giving you the advice that makes sense to her, and generally wants the best for you. However, she doesn't understand that it is not as simple as somehow deciding to be positive or work harder. It's that those things aren't viable options because of these feelings. You accept your defeat, and the conversation drifts onto other subjects. She leaves after chiding you to call her more often and taking better care of yourself. You sigh heavily as you close the door behind her, spend the next few hours laying in bed. There's no comma. This not only is this unnecessarily got long words, it's got bad grammar. I'm staring at the ceiling. I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi, so you blah blah blah. Still depressed. There's my statuses. It's a lazy. The fact that the music starts over again at each page is very jarring. I can't. It's very disconcerting. It bothers me. Not in a triggering kind of way. It just frustrates me more than anything. Why can you not just why do you need to play it again and again and again from the start? Can you not just have one audible loop? It's a lazy Sunday morning. You are idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a co-worker of yours that typically blah 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 blah. So slightly awkward, you're waiting in... all this unnecessary preposition. How do you feel about cats, he asks. Mine had kittens a few weeks ago. I'm having an awful hard time finding a home for the last one to litter. You don't have any pets, right? It takes you a moment to process this new information, and you're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try and sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you had specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart, really loves people. She got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet said she's healthy as a horse. She's okay. I can bring her over by your place tonight if you're interested. You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him this is all kind of sudden and that you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all that since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I could do. I just don't want to have to put her in shelter. You can't help feel like you're being guilt-tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if they are fairly low maintenance. What do you do? Take the cat, knowing full well that you can take great care of it, not allowed. Decline. Even though you'd be totally capable of taking care of it, you're not much of a cat person. Not allowed. I'm not allowed to not be a cat person, according to that option. Become a cat owner. You could use the companionship. Decline. You're not in a good enough place to be taking on more responsibility right now. Decline. You don't like cats. Now, in my situation, I wouldn't mind a cat. A cat is nice. Cats can be very, you know, maintainable. But the thing is, though, no, you shouldn't. Why? Okay, here's another beef with this. You have a girlfriend, correct? You are feeling lonely, also correct. But if you don't like cats, you don't get a cat. But I can understand why people would choose become a cat owner, because you could use the companionship. I understand that. There was a time where I almost got a dog, even though I couldn't take care of it. Well, I could take care of the dog, but I wasn't allowed to by my agreement on my flat. But still, despite my very, very, very low state of mind, I was still capable of realizing I'm not going to be able to take it on. So I said, you're not in a good enough place to be taking on more responsibility right now. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because I have a number of reasons. First of all, this game is ridiculous. It is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. I'm sorry if you disagree with me. You have every right to. But this is a ridiculous game. I don't care if it's made by experts. I don't care. It is not. It is designed to make people understand what it's like to have depression, but it is not doing that. I have depression. I already understand what it is. Sure, but this is not a very accurate representation. These are words written down. It's kind of like cold reading when those psychics claim they can hear the dead by saying a few choice phrases and words that remind people of certain things. This is doing the exact same thing in its writing style. It is not giving a clear... Well, it's giving a clear description of the scenario, but it is not successfully giving the psychological impact behind each one, nor is it giving it's words. It's just words. It is not an experience. And not only is it just words, it is very overly written. Why are there so many adjectives and adverbs that don't need to be there? If you want to represent depression, everything's going to be simpler, if you know what I mean. I can't explain it very well, but when I'm when I, personally, am in a very, very low state of mind, I do not think of every possible synonym I can think of. I do not write an essay. I do not write a novel. I just think. If it was me, I wouldn't say, I'm being berated by these constant inquisition. I would say, my mum keeps asking me questions. See, I can't even say it. I wouldn't use big words to do that. Also, I wouldn't lock off some of those options, because not all of those options are beyond the realms of depression. Some people, me, I would do that. I would say, thank you for your concern, but I'm okay. I wouldn't alternatively try and explain it. I would, as an absolute alternative option. Also, if I was with Alex, I would still be happy. I would at least mildly gain some happiness from managing to cheer her up. I wouldn't... I don't know. This is me, personally. This is my experience with depression, and I don't agree. I don't agree with this game. This game shouldn't exist. Or actually, no. Failing that, this game should exist, but it should be done much better than it is. It has not been executed well. All of you are all... It's a very tough subject for me to talk about, especially, like... I'm not disagreeing with depression. Depression is very bad. I will always support any aid toward depression. I've suffered it. My friends have suffered it. It is a terrible, terrible infliction. But this game does not accurately represent it at all, in my opinion. But if you must, if you want to try it for yourself, if you want to get further than I have and see if you agree with me or not, it's free to play on Steam. Most of the reviews I've read on it agree with me completely. And just, you can experience for yourself. It's free, it's about 500 megabytes, quick download. And this infernal music, oh my god, this music! This music drives me nuts. This game doesn't represent... Final say on this game, it doesn't represent depression, it doesn't make me understand it, it bores me. This game is boring. And each of those options, everybody has a different state of mind. If someone is depressed, or someone who is not depressed and is playing this game in an effort to try and understand it, they will still pick the options that are most related to them. So they will try and pick the most positive option. They won't go down the negative route unless they are curious. And even then, they will not get the same emotional impact that they should. And I've said this before countless times now in the last 5 minutes, but I will say this again. Depression Quest is a game that is designed to make people understand depression, but fails in doing so. And that's it. That's my final say. I disagree with this game completely. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, I guess. And I will see you in the next video. If you want to start a healthy debate, then leave a comment and I'll reply. But yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.